Right, perhaps the music finished a bit early. I started a bit late, but I don't know. Well, anyway, we're back. Had all sorts of things. Got to turn the volume up on certain levels. But anyway, good to be back. Sorry I wasn't able to make it for the last couple of weeks. Various family commitments. But, no, I'm getting a repeat of the audio because I'm monitoring more than one thing, and I've done this before, which confused me last time. So I need to stop the audio. Let's kill that. So stop the audio there. So I won't keep hearing myself coming back. Yeah, I've been busy sort of tidying up various things in the shack as well, and playing with my SRT repeater, which is what I shall talk a reasonable bit about before passing it on. Let's have a look at the schedule, which being a dyslexic idiot and spelling terrible, I'd spelt that wrong, so I had to make alterations this morning to the test card that I started with. My technical support, John JTT, pointed it out to me. But anyway, we've got there just the same. So it looks like a good turnout this morning. This afternoon, should I say. That's what I've got so far. So I'll pass it over to Leon after I've finished. And that's the order we'll go with. Right, let's go to the camera. Again, if I get rid of that, back to me. Yeah, the little thing I'll be talking about is the logic which has been put on the repeater, which is that's it there. It's Martin G. G8KOE helped me with it and did it. It's presented some problems which little video I'll play will explain them. I've had lots of contacts from the VK boys. They were out at the weekend on one of their, I think, mad days, which is microwave activity day, and that was some of the contacts they had, which I've got nothing to listen to any of those bands, but it's interesting. I like the idea, I must admit, that they go out and about. So that's that. I've got another bit of information that I will pass on the next time round. I don't want that camera, do I? I want to go back to me. I'm running DATV Red at the moment. I've gone back to that. I've been experiencing, I don't really know, my DATV Red system as such, all Pluto's out in the garage. So it's I switch things on and off from here, and I've always suffered with sort of breakup to start with. I've assumed that it was the PA. It's only suddenly the penny dropped because I don't have anything. I mean, is GPS locked out there? And so I switched the system on, and the GPS hasn't locked up. It's Leo Bodner at that point. So it causes some breakup as it's I think cycling around. I haven't looked at what the output is when it's not actually locked to anything, but things I presume are changing as it finds a lock or whatever. I don't know, but I now make sure that it's all locked up, which it is at the moment. Yeah, it's quite nice to be using DATV Red again. I've been playing with Simon's SDR television, which I've got a separate Pluto in here for, which has just got the basic firmware on, so as I can run things there. That works exceedingly well. Obviously, it's in its early days, and a few other bits and pieces that I can do with DATV Red that I can't do with that. Right, I'm going to play a little video which will just basically run through the problems we're having with my setup and the encoder, etc. But anyway, let's pass that, play that first. That's my repeater as it is at the moment, and you can see the Zoe box on the right hand side, and that hasn't got the logic there at the moment, as you can see, but that's all the parameters you need to connect to the SRT repeater. And All-Star, the hub that I've got with working, works as a good talkback to be used with it to go together. That's the logic that was put together. Not quite a PCB like Benno would produced, and he probably produced about 15 of them by now. But that's it. That's it connected. The outputs from the 4 receivers are connected to that, and I'll let myself talk to myself on the video. This is my repeater, my SRT repeater, and I've been trying to demonstrate the sort of problems we're having with introducing a logic to it. The top left corner is VLC player, which is looking at the SRT. The right hand one is VLC, which is looking at the stream from the BATC. Bottom left is Happy Time software. Next to that is the actual Zoe box, what that sees before it passes it on to the quad box, which you can see behind the logic. Quad box one with all the lights. So if I now implement a stream in on channel 1, which I just started from the laptop next to me, depending on how good the connection is, etc., sometimes it goes straight in, sometimes you'll see the lights bounce. That's the 4 lights on the logic side of things. It's streaming. It hasn't found me yet, and it still hasn't found me. So this is obviously good in some respects. It's demonstrating what isn't happening. Helps if I look at the right screen, but if I did, I'd be commenting on the right thing, not the delayed thing. As you can see, it has found me on channel 1. I thought I was on channel 4. Just shows I don't know what I'm doing. So the encoder, the Zoe box has found it. It's actually streamed it. The Happy Time software has found it. Originally it came up with disconnected and then reconnected to it. But the other 2 at the moment, if I do a refresh on the first one, it's actually there, and do a refresh on the other one by hitting the sort of fast forward, it's actually there. If I now drop out, so I've dropped out now, and we've gone back to various sort of screen sizes of things. The bottom left hand corner at the bottom is connection failed. That's reconnected, and the other 2 remain black. Oh no, that one's finally recovered. Now that's the BATC stream, but this one, which is looking at the STR, the same as the Happy Time below it, hasn't. So if I do a refresh on that, it will actually be there. If I go back in, it says, right, I'm going back in now, and hopefully one should see a little light come on, which I've got a little light this end. So the Zoe box has found it. The Happy Time software has noticed that the connection failed and then is reconnected, but the other 2 haven't. If I hit the fast forward on that one, it's actually there, and the fast forward on that one. So that's a slight problem. The problem is that the encoder box doesn't get a clean signal from the quad unit when it's switching. What the logic's doing is actually simulating remote control in front and sending the signals to the encoder box. But depending on how quickly it does it and what the network connection is, whether it's local, whether it's at a distance, etc., etc., VLC goes, hey, I've lost the connection, and gives up. Whereas the Happy Time software says, hey, I've lost the connection, but I'm going to have another go. And it does. So that's where we are at the moment. I'll drop number 1, which is disappearing. That's it. Yep, we're all going back to quad, hopefully. Maybe. No. 2 out of 3, I suppose, is not bad. No, we've managed all 4. 3, rather. So, one last time I'll come in on channel 1. Which has now just detected me. The wheels are going round on the encoder box, which has found me. The connection has failed, but it's been reconnected on the Happy Time software. And I think the other 2 probably won't do anything. So I hope this helps to sort of explain what's going on and why at the moment we're recommending the Happy Time software. There's no easy way for me to overcome the problems that are happening with the Zoe box and the encoder box. The encoder box is the main problem, I think. But maybe there's a way that one can do some alterations to VLC, but so far I haven't found it. Right, that'll do for now. From G8KOE. Let's put the microphone back on. And hopefully that wasn't to sent too many people to sleep. The Zoe box is the encoder box on the right hand side. So the way the repeater works at the moment, I've got the 4 receivers, which on the Raspberry Pis, they're fed to the quad unit. The quad unit is then fed to the Zoe box that does the encoding and streaming to the BATC and to an MTX server that I've got, which is on another Raspberry Pi, that sends the signal out to on an SRT stream. That's basically the way it goes. But the Happy Time software is the only software so far that technical support John G7JTT found seems to hang in. There's probably other ways of doing it. One of the with the SRT repeater, which obviously coming via the internet connection can vary quite considerably. Sometimes depending on because I've only got a domestic setup this end. So if VLC loses a connection, then it gets upset. Whereas the Happy Time software, which just says, hey, I've lost it, but I'm going to reconnect. So anyway, right, that's enough waffle from me this week so far. So Leon hasn't gone to sleep. Get ready, I'll put a test card and pass it over to you from G8KOE.
G8KOE and the group ZS1MM. How do you know I didn't go to sleep? It was very close. I haven't got the faintest idea what you're doing there, Martin. I see 2 small test patterns of yours and 4 very bright LEDs, and the rest looks like a kiddie's paint box. All those little blocks of paint for watercoloring. That's all I see. So I don't know what you're repeating. Is it 2 meters? Is it 70 centimeters? And then you've got internet. No. There I switch off immediately when you're talking about the internet. Okay, what have I been doing? I'm playing factory. These are those organ boards that I'm building. I've already assembled 6 now, so I have another 4 to go. The guys want 10 of these boards. So at least we're making progress. For the rest, I went to the model fly in Robertson yesterday. Yeah, they had beautiful planes there, lots and lots. I should have taken a bit of video. I didn't even think of that, you know. Lots of jets, and some nice old-timer things, big planes, 1/3 scale and things like that. Lovely. But anyway, I normally go there for the fireworks display, which was not there this year. Hopefully next year that'll be back in the evening. And the other reason why I go is one of the online shops. The guy brings his whole shop out to the place, and he occupies the whole of the clubhouse there with all his goodies that he's exhibiting there. And then I buy lots and lots. So that's where I get all my little small nuts and bolts and lock nuts and I mean, you can't get those at the normal engineering places. They don't go smaller than 3 millimeters, but yeah, at this guy, oh man. And the drill bits and things you can buy there from, what was it, I got from 0.3 millimeters, I think, yes. I bought a set, 0.3 millimeters to 1.2 millimeters. Anyway, yeah. So that was great fun. It was perfect weather for models. Today wouldn't have been nice. It's windy now, but yesterday was absolutely perfect. Okay, that's it from me for now. Phil, it's over to you. M0PIT for the group from ZS1 Mike.
Yeah, we're back. Okay, so I don't know if that was my end or what. But anyhow, right. So I got myself a Linux box and I put SDR console on it, and it has to run under a program called Wine, and it ran absolutely perfect. And that is on full duplex on transmit. No problems at all. And that's astonishing considering it's a Windows program and it won't work properly under Windows, not on my box anyhow, but on Linux, and it's the same box, it's not a different piece of hardware, the same hardware. It ran perfectly. So anyhow, so that was great. So I got that working, and then I I fed, what's it called, WSJTX or something, which is this FT8 program. So I ran that in it, and it was fine, and it worked. Everything worked, and I was up on the satellite and I had a few QSOs, and I'd set the lock, the beacon lock. I'd set that up so it was locked onto the beacon. And after about an hour or so, I went back just to check that it was still locked up to the beacon. It was still locked, but the beacon had disappeared off the screen. The frequency drift on it was such that the actual beacon had disappeared off the lock screen. So I reset the receive offset, and that brought the beacon back onto the lock screen, locked it, and then ran it for another, I don't know, half an hour or whatever. And when I went to have a look, the beacon was just about to disappear off the lock screen. And at that point I thought, well, it's drifting phenomenally to do this. This is not very good. So to cut a long story short, I took the lid off because it's enclosed. So I took the lid off, let it all cool down, and ran it again, and I set everything up to where it was before, and it ran absolutely perfectly, and it actually ran for something like 3 hours without the beacon disappearing off that lock screen. So if you run one of these, what I suggest, you run it without the cover on. I was thinking of putting a fan in it, but there's no real circulation of air in it, so there's no gaps or whatever. So sticking a fan on the, on that, I don't think it's going to help very much, because there's going to be no airflow because the air can't get in from underneath. So, but there you go, and it ran perfectly. Once I took the lid off, it ran perfectly. So if you have a play with these, I suggest that you run it without the lid on. Anyhow, that was my experiments. As I say, got a few QSOs on FT8. I've got no real interest in Digimode, certainly not up to the satellite. So it was just an experiment to see if I could do it, and as it turned out, I could do it on a Linux box where I couldn't do it on a Windows box, which is rather strange. But anyhow, so that's enough waffle from me. I shall hand it over now. Who's next on the list? It looks like Brian is next on the list. So I'm going to put up a test card. Let's find me test card. So, and then I shall kill carrier, and then it'll be over to Brian.
Oh, cheers, Phil. Oh, I am here. Kill the audio. Sorry, I've not been about. Been rather busy doing other things like Leon does with hobbies. I had a bit of a disaster a while ago with the model. It took a couple of weeks to rebuild it. I'll show you a quick picture of crashed and after. Oh dear. Colour scheme changed as well. There we go. Let's click that. Right there, as you can see, top left, a bit of a mess. The model. That's a superstar. That's a pattern ship. I was doing some aerobatics, and the some unknown reason, like lamp posts jumping out in front of cars, the ground leapt up in front of the model. After manoeuvres, didn't quite have enough height to pull out. Perhaps I should have had some more control on the elevator, but it went in with quite a thud. You can see there the poor retracts were out, because I was going to come down and land, but it's no success. Anyway, there she is back on the right, all recovered and flying again back in the skies. So that's what I've been up to. That's why I've not been about. It takes quite a while to rebuild that. The fuselage, which you can probably see on the left better in blue, that's a solid square box of balsa, 7x3, and then planed and shaped. So it takes quite a while. So anyway, the wings survived and the back end did, so I just chopped the back end off, used what I could out of the old fuselage, bulkheads, etc. and rebuilt her, and she's flying again. That's what we've been up to. What else have we been doing? This will give you a clue. Here's the clue. Oh, bash your head on the microphone. That's the first bit. The second bit is I've decided to upgrade the 23 SEMS PA because it's not very powerful. So I've got one of these nice little amplifiers from Burt, PE1 RKI. Does 140 watts on sort of FM, gives you about 60 to 70 watts DATV. So there we go. N-type on the output, SMA on the input. So that's all ready to be screwed down to heatsink and tested. So that's what I've been up to. I'll only want to do one over today because I'm expecting a call from the missus. She's gone to one of her classes just up the road, and it's because the funny times local transport runs on a Sunday. She'll be hanging around for sort of 40 minutes, which I don't think is very good, so I'll have to pop out and pick her up. But I should be listening for as long as I can. So I'll say 73s for the time being. Who am I going to put it round to? Oh, young Benno, PA3 FBX. Round to you, Benno, from G8KOE 73s all.
Hi guys. Thanks for leading the net, Martin. Yeah, SRT repeater. I imagine that Leon doesn't understand, or doesn't want to understand probably, because it's completely internet connecting Leon. It has the only thing it has to do with our hobby is that it is connecting via video and audio connection, which is more or less the same as what we do on the Q100, but then via another medium called the internet. I reckon your two lines coming in doesn't have that bandwidth, Leon. But yeah, it's more or less the same as what we do here, and what I did on the local repeater on VHF, UHF, and several of the channels combining together. That's what Martin did on a SRT protocol, which is not the same as UDP, but very similar. Yeah, if I can combine that talk. So that's what Martin did. Nice, the hardware, and yeah, like I said on the L-Star already, on the back channel. At least you make nice demo videos what it is all about, and I can imagine you should make some block diagrams first for people like Leon to understand, and then make some get a piece of paper, draw some graphics there. That's what he understands. Maybe on the back of a cigar box or something. That's what Leon will understand, and then the presentation is more in place. But yes, it is nice that Martin FKK did help you with that. I think that should be done anyway. That's what I did. I'm used to Node-RED for that. But I'm doing very similar things if there's no video coming in on a certain band, certain. Mind you, I have two analog channels input. So if I don't have a sync there, I get a filled picture with only one channel. And if there are two or more channels coming in, I'm switching back to the two channels, and on the other channels the test image running on the local repeater is always running on the same test image, and then which is, by the way, also switched. Can I show that quickly? It's too difficult. I don't think it's nice to do that. It should work. Where are all my streams? I lost all the stream links. Well, I did too much changing the local time. There it is. Let's see if that one works. Let me get rid of my clock. And if I now go a little bit back, a small, no. Why not? Why not? Why not? It doesn't work today. Why not? I don't know. Mind you, doesn't work. Never mind. I am preparing. Well, to comment on Phil. Yeah. It seems that I run WSTX also on a Raspberry 4, and it runs flawlessly on a Raspberry 4. I run it on 80, 40 and 20 meters, and it runs flawlessly. And there's that small box, the QDX, which runs with it, and it just produces a few watts, 2 watts or something, 1 or 2 watts, and it runs nice WSTX on a Raspberry 4, and I'm running that in my multi-rig. I've never run WSTX on a Windows PC. It works, but yes, you have to get the Windows PC also organized that it is better synchronized for the time it is. Okay, and for Brian, nice work on the rebuild. Yeah, I know. As a, I had the experience also to rebuild a few rigs. That one is not rebuilt, but I had one previous, exactly the same model, and I ran that one with a full glass. I was flying upside down, and then pulling full up, which is obviously the ground if you're upside down. So I lost one there, and I didn't even took the time. I just got a new set, which is cheaper because that one is only a, what is it, 100 euros module. The electronics I always obviously transferred, but the kit itself is a little over 100 euros at that time, at least, and that is probably 5 years ago. Probably not even available anymore. But I had a one or two models which are which I have rebuilt, and I will tell you I will never do that again, because making a nice wing, for instance, the wing format, yeah, you need a lot of space and a lot of time and a lot of patience to glue all the stuff together and to get it straight and to get it perfect. Yeah, and I don't want to spend. I can spend ages on software. I can spend ages on these kind of small things, but I don't like spending ages of creating a new wing for a glider or something like that. Yeah, and then to what I did over the last week, I was playing with my Whisper, which is HF, and I run that also on 2 meters and on 50 meters, on 6 meters on 50 megahertz, and got it to work there, running with 4 or 5 watts. On 2 meters, no response whatsoever. And on 50 meters I got only, 100 kilometers or something. On 20 meters I got Costa Rica with it. With only 50 milliwatts running on a wire, a long wire. Got Costa Rica. So yeah, that works, I would say. And I am still in the process of making some more, and I am at the moment preparing a lot for the next camp. I will go next week. On Sunday I will be on the new campground, and I will stay there for a week and a half, preparing the Pentecost, I should say, weekend, which is obviously in 2 weeks. The local Veron camping site, and I will host that there with probably 150 hams or family members, things like that, running a lot of fox hunting and some nice things like bingo and things like that. And I will also run a All-Star network there with All-Star repeater on 2 meters and on 70 centimeters. And I probably will connect that first to the local PI6 MEP DATV network back channel, and probably connect that as a standard to get out of there. Because being on the hotspot, probably it's all a one way out, but obviously if the connection is there, I'm able to connect everyone anything I want. Okay, that's what I'm preparing on and where I'm working on at the moment. Well, microphone on to Graham. See what he is going up to. Good for a coffee. Mike, hello Mike. Nice to see you on the air. From Papa Alpha 3 Fox Bravo X-Ray. If you want an over, you can pass it. You can get it from Graham. He's next on the list. G3 Victor Kilo Victor. I'm passing it otherwise back to Martin, if because you are at the end of the round of the net. G3 Victor Kilo Victor. Graham, what have you done last week? From PA3 Fox Bravo X-Ray. Let's see, do I have a test card? Yes, I have.
Right, I think we're working, hopefully. Just check. Take it back off the satellite. Yep, it's coming through. I missed out the test card, but never mind. I'll make sure I've got it on the way out. Yeah, okay from everybody. Well, not a lot, I'm afraid, is the answer to that, Benno. So hopefully I can add a bit of something, but what with the rain and it, well, not much rain, but what with everything else that's going on, is let me turn my audio down. I'm listening to myself at the moment. That's better. Listening to myself twice. So, well, I looked on with interest. Again, didn't understand too much, I'm afraid, Martin, with this internet and all the other things that's going on. Looks all very neat and tidy. I'm more into. I think I'm a bit more like Leon. I'm a bit into the sort of heavy metal bashing and RF and voltages and everything else. Still got the SDR television running in the background. I've been playing around with it on a closed circuit and on RF, just in the shack. Still learning something every time I go on it. Something different, another button to press. So, but no, I was going to try and get it going this weekend on the air, but it doesn't take much. I still got to lock the Pluto up. And then route the RF into a switch, into the down to the amplifier downstairs in the conservatory. Right, it's a 5.7 10 gigahertz contest this weekend over UK, but I must admit I haven't had a go at all. Shame on me. But, there's a few people out portable, not many. Okay, on your organ boards there, Leon, I think you told us how many you were going to make of those. It was, judging by the film you put out with all the pipes on there, it's one hell of a job, a big order, I should imagine, of components. But hope you're nearly to the point of having replaced them all. I don't know. You did mention how many you'd actually done, but it looked quite a monumental thing to achieve, to get all those replaced. But I'm sure you'll get it all sorted out. And the old Pluto Plus there, yeah. Something that they obviously haven't tried it, have they, to see if it drifts when it warms up with a metal case on it. But it's not very good having to take the metal case apart, is it? Rather destroys the purpose of having it there in the first place. But anyway, as long as it's going now and not drifting all over the place. Yeah, I've done a bit of model flying, but I was flying other people's models, which is quite unusual for somebody to let me fly their model. But it was a relative. I didn't manage to smash any up for him, but I've seen him smash quite a few up, and go home a bit miserable. But that was a long time ago. I used to fly also. Used to build all sorts of models. Not electric ones. I think a lot of them now are electric, aren't they? With all the battery capacity you can get. What else have I got? Oh yeah, I've got a thing here of I've been looking at the bands to see what's going on in different parts of the band. I don't know if I can put this on. This is the actual 2.4. If I can switch it in. No, it's not the one. Let me go and find it. It's here somewhere. If I can find it, that's the thing. Oh, here we are. That's it. Here we are. I think. This is, this is a spectrum of the uplink, where it is and what's grown around it in the last. If I can get it away, I could switch me off, I suppose. Probably might help. You'd have a bit of lettering on there still, I think, if I did that. But see if I can switch the camera off without it crashing. There we are. Yeah, there's a bit of writing on there that comes up when I switch it over. But yeah, that's the location of the uplink. That 2.4, it's a narrowband. And then above that, of course, it's what we're on now, 2409.750, aren't we? So this is obviously in the UK from here, with antennas at this location. But it's about 120 megs, that is, wide. You can go a lot wider, but I wouldn't get it on the screen. It would get smaller if I did. But you can see it's squashed in between the telephone data, which has now appeared on there, and the Wi-Fi, which starts just above there. So 2409, I forget what it is now. It's the highest frequency, isn't it? So it's lower than that 2403, I think, isn't it? Or something of that order. So the video's in here somewhere, in that little, just below where it says 100 on QO100. If you go down from that, the video is there, right on the very bottom end of the Wi-Fi band, which goes a long way beyond that on the other side. So it just shows you how tight it is to get into that little space there that we're allocated. There is some empty space there, but it's all filling up with the 3.4 is even worse. We've got 3.4 here in the UK, but I don't think you've got it over in your part of the world. I don't know whether you've got it in South Africa, but there probably wouldn't be too many people on, I shouldn't think. But we got 10 megs there, and that's just as bad. That's squashed right up against a phone data bank of it. But we're very lucky. We've got 3400 to 3410. I'll just switch this back again. Let's put myself on first, if I can. But when you look at various parts of the spectrum now, let's switch the shack back on. There we are. You look at various parts of the spectrum now. It's getting very very well populated. We're very, very lucky that we've got the channels we've got, I think, left. What else have I got? Not a lot been doing here, so I haven't got much to report on. Not in the shack anyway. I've been doing various other things, but I seem to run out of time this week. So I'm not sure who it was who you said was going to come in there, Benno. But let's have a look at the list a minute to check to see what's on the bottom of the list. Where are we? Oh, nobody. So is there anybody else that was going to come in? If not, it's back to Martin. Let me switch the list off. Where are we? Switch back onto the chat. That's it. Right. Switch that one off. Too many screens on here. Anyway, I'll put it back. I'm not sure who it was. You did say, Benno, but I missed the actual call sign you gave. But if not, it's back to Martin, and we'll take it from there. See what happens. So KOE to take it. I'll see if I can find my test card this time. Bit chaos in here. I've been doing other things in the shack. So right, I'll put a test card on, and then over to you, Martin. G3VKV in Cheltenham, England.
Come on, lock it. I've locked in now. Make sure I've got a bit of audio, which I think I have. It says it's always nice to hear when some audio comes back. Yeah, let's turn that down. All very interesting. Yeah, to there, Phil. Lost most of your transmission until the end when it came in. It was very low. It looked, but I think you'd lost signal strength or whatever, and you're running 3/4, and it. I wasn't getting anything. I don't think Benno was, and a number of others. But all very interesting. Take the can off. That's really what I got to. Right, the SRT repeater was, as a quick sort of explanation. You can input on the 4 channels from OBS in H.264, putting those in, and accesses the 4, any one of the 4 which is fed to the quad box and switcher arrangement. The audio is taken out from each of those and is mixed in the 4-channel audio mixer. The output of the quad box is fed to the Zoetech encoder, and that does the stream up to the BATC. Also can do a stream to my YouTube channel, and in fact streams to a Media MTX SRT server, which is another Raspberry Pi on the left. And the problems one's been having, as I explained in the video, is that with signals coming and going, it's not always a clean signal that ends up being to the encoder, and in effect then to VLC, which one's trying to receive it on, which the output in VLC, you can stick what's on the left hand side in that little box and you'd receive the signal. Now the use of this, which is totally on the internet, means I can keep in contact with the VK boys, etc., and anyone else in the world. I have regular contacts with VK3IE, and we use the All-Star talk as a talkback channel, which the two go together exceedingly well. Let's go back to the camera. It says getting rid of that one. If I go over to the screen now, this is the receiver one's using software, which is a little bit flaky, but it's got a capable of 4, in fact I think it's up to 16 different screens you can put in there. Let's get rid of that there. Can I? I know it would help if I learned how to operate it, so you could have 4, in fact, etc., etc., so you can actually put multiple connections in there. But the advantage of this software as opposed to VLC is that if it loses connection, it reconnects, unless someone knows a way of getting that to happen with VLC, because with the SRT repeater or the internet connections, they do drop in and out, as this is all on a domestic setup. But I've got a video which is a reasonable length, which I'm going to play. Now, if people get bored, come up on the chat if they want me to stop it. But it's Ian, VK3TTF, who's produced a control board, which is in conjunction with his SRT side that he's putting together. But I think he warrants being seen, and it's I think quite an impressive board, far beyond my capabilities. So I'm going to play that, which is was passed over to me, the link to it from Rob, and let's get to it now. It's I think that's the one, G8KOE. Oh no, I forgot. That's before I actually show the video. That was connections at the weekend and the different bands you can see on their microwave activity side of things down in VK land. So that's just their fun timeout on 5760 10368 3398 and 5760 2403. Just a 2403.1. Just a fun time. Right. Let's drop that and I'll play the video I didn't want to play.
Pico ATX supply. So this is a 12 volt in, and it generates normal ATX. Okay, here's a bit of a video just on how I'm going with the ATV controller. I've got the software almost at a point I want to put this board actually in my transmitter and give it a try. So as you can see, I've got a few things hooked up. I've got a couple of fans. One of them is fan 2 and fan 1 we've got plugged in over here. I'm running this just off a Payco ATX supply. So this is a 12 volt in, and it generates normal ATX computer power. So it generates a power good and a power on off signal to control the power supply. So that could be a normal ATX computer power supply or just the Pico. It's just easier for me here, just so I can run it off the lab power supply. And yet not worry too much about big power supplies and things like that while I'm testing if I short something out. So that's always good. I've got 3 fan controllers installed, so the 51 on that one, I think 50 and 53. That's just the I2C IDs, so they're individually addressable to control the fans. What else have I got plugged in? ATX lights, so a power and a transmit enabled light. So down here we've got the ATX header for the front case with power and reset buttons. Reset button, I'm not sure, that might be a transmit enable disable button. And obviously the power button does the master power to power everything up. What else have I got working? Obviously the Pico's in there. I've got that connected up to Thonny that I'll show you shortly. You'll see probably at some stage the green light coming on the local oscillator. That's the ADF4351 module. I've got a Raspberry Pi here with SRT player set up on it ready. That's the next thing on my list, to get that plugged into here, so that boots up automatically when you power everything up. Obviously because of the ATX power supply, and I've got other regulators under here, linear regulators, generating 3.3 volts. A lot of the little RF modules and things, switches, actually use 3.3 volts. So on down here we've got 3.3, 5 and 12 volts available, and obviously a separate switched PA 12 volts as well. So we've got all that plugged in, we've got network plugged in, we've got a switch plugged in. The ATX power supply is powered, currently drawing 200 milliamps at 12 volt. That's running their little switch, Raspberry Pi Pico, the Ethernet controller, and a couple of other just chips and bits and pieces on the board just on standby. So you can check status of things even when it's turned off. Yeah, I think that's the introduction there. So let's nick over here. So I'm using Thonny, so this is all written in Python. So lots of modules. I'll actually load up this screen a bit more. That's what's actually on the Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi Picos are really easy to program. You can just chuck your code in folders. It's all just Python code, normal Python libraries. That one's not, I need to delete that one. And a main.py. If you have a main.py, that starts when the Pico starts up, so it doesn't even need to be plugged into a computer. That makes it really easy when you load that in the root folder down there. So all we're going to do here is I've just got the main.py open. If I click play, it's going to boot up, run all its tests, set up the buses, initialize our fan controllers, get on the network, and now we're just running in a monitoring state. So we started up our web server there. ATX power is currently off, and MCP23017, that's an I/O expander. So that's all our I/Os, particularly driving our relays. It's getting fault alerts back in from our power monitoring, so we can set up overcurrent protection and things like that. But that's just sort of sitting there, that just sits in the monitor every second. So this just sits in the background, and you can see it's doing a network check every now and then to see if it drops off the network, just so it watches what's going on. I've written this so a network is not required. You could just literally chuck this in a case and have a transmit on-off button potentially. At the moment, just to get myself online, everything's just hard-coded pretty much. There's a few things where if things drop off, it'll just ignore them for now, just to make it a bit more stable until I get error checking and logging and stuff set up. But what we'll do is we'll go to the web interface now. So this is just the IP address that it comes up on my network, and we'll just load up the dashboard. So this is what I've got so far. Some of this is dummy, but you know, upload and download config. I'm hoping that'll be just a file, so you can upload pre-configured files and how it all works. I want it to show, you know, things like transmit frequency, LO frequency. I've got this random number thing here, just making sure I can see that it's all updating in real time. What we've got down here is the power monitoring for the different power rails. So you can actually see how many watts, amps, etc. Each rail is running. Great, particularly if you're RF power amp, so you can actually monitor it specifically. This is obviously DC power, not RF power, but if you obviously know roughly what your efficiency level is, this makes it an easy way to estimate what your RF output is as well. We've got our temperature sensors, so because it's powered off at the moment, it's just not applicable, minus 99 depending on the sensor state. And our fans are stopped obviously because we're currently just powered off in standby. Also got a clock that just ticks away here. That gets clocked from an NTP every time it boots up. You might have seen it when you saw the boot sequence there. Gets the time automatically. So what I'm going to do now, we'll just move back out a bit. I've actually got my Stream Deck set up. So we've got some buttons on here. ACV on, RF on, and RTV 1 and 2. So the 3 power modes. It's obviously off, it's in standby at the moment, so it's just sitting there ready. We can turn it on so it gives master power. That would then boot up things like Raspberry Pis and things like that for your SRT streaming. RF then turns on your RF modules, so you might have preamps and things like that set up. And the RTV on, I can actually get into RTV 1 and 2 from here. I've actually got that set up so that'll actually trigger a different frequency on the LO and actually move between which RTV I want to get into just with a push of a button. But that obviously turns on things like the power amp as well and make sure that's all configured. So what we'll do here is we'll just turn ATV on, and we'll go back over here. I can see our fans, both our fans should be now spinning. We've got our blue light on our power supply indicating we're on. That's all that really changes over here at the moment. But if we go back to the dashboard, we can see we've now got our 2 main power rails up and running, reporting the power. So the 12 volt power is where the fans are connected, so that goes up a bit. Fans are fairly efficient that I'm using here. And our power for our regulators has actually come up, our linear regulators there. So we've also got fan tacho, so we can actually make sure our fans are spinning at the speeds we expect them to be. In the future I want to have warnings and things like that, so if a fan stops working, and obviously based on temperature the fan speeds change. At the moment I've just got it set to a medium point, so they just do what they need to do. But that's up and running. If we go back down here, like our LO is still off, there's no lock, it comes up with a green light when it gets a lock, so nothing fancy running there. We've got our ATX lights, our ATX power light is on, but our transmit light is off. Let's just try and put them there, if they'll stay there. Okay, that's dark and we might see them later. So that's all that up and running. We'll go to the next stage. Let's turn RF on. You might have heard that relay click. So we've got 3 relays here. Power amp, 12 volt and 5 volt 3 volt. So you can switch those independently. So if you needed to sequence your RF too, you can sequence your RF. So that's good. So that's them up and running. Again, nothing really has changed on here yet. I want a bit more of a status display to show you what state it is. But nothing really happening there. And again, RF is on, LO is still off at the moment. It's powered up, but it's just not locked to a frequency I couldn't configure just yet. So if I now configure and go RTV1, we had another click. So that will be our PA power output now turned on, and our LO is now configured with the frequency we want for that RTV1, and it's locked, green light on. So that's the board, yeah, up and running. So it's doing all the basic features. I've got a lot more features to add in. There's relays at the back here for auxiliary outputs, so you can switch automatically like an on-air light when your transmit goes on. That's secondly addressable. There's serial ports if you want to control other modulators and things. You've got a serial port on your modulator. My modulator is actually Ethernet, so I'll actually put an API on this, so I can actually control that modulator. You can change the frequency on the modulator as well. So between this LO, the modulator, and the modulator power output and the LO power output, I can actually control how much power I'll be putting out to the final PA amp as well. So that hopefully is just a couple of clicks on the web interface once I get to that. But yeah, I want to sort of get online. I have a limited space around my desk, so this goes up on a shelf, which is why I won't have physical access, and I'm going to all this effort to be able to control it. Obviously we've got power filtering and stuff, if I didn't mention that. These little chips down here, that little one there, just at the end of my finger there, they're the ones that actually do the power monitoring. So that's our standby 12 volt, 5 volt, and our PA one is down under that wire there, down there. Yeah, USB ports and stuff on here also just for power. So whether you've got devices inside the case that you want to run that off. This is also, I suppose, I haven't played with it yet. I've got my Pluto here. But even using a Pluto, using Ethernet on that one, obviously you could plug your Pluto into the Ethernet here. You've got power supply that's nice and stable. You can pull it off the RF power supply, so you've got a nice stable 5 volts to power it. And then obviously this doesn't do video, this is just control. But this lets you actually power it up safely, and all your other modules, PA and everything like that, and actually keep a track of what's going on. So, you know, even if you're not using the classic modulator LO method, this could be really, really good just to put in a box with your Pluto or whatever, and give you some stats and fan control and things like that. So anyway, that's a bit of an update. I'm going to hopefully in the next day or so actually put this in my transmitter. Probably once you're watching this, it'll already be in the transmitter, because I'm probably using it right now, transmitting this to you. But yes, that's where we are at the moment. All looking good. This switch, I'll probably use this switch. I've also got a fiber switch. Would be awesome to actually have this connected to our network over fiber. Just something cool to go, yeah, I'm transmitting all my signals over fiber. Just adds to the whole outside broadcast, I suppose, sort of setup. What else can I tell you about this one? Lots of power outputs. There's also more IOs I haven't used here, so things like infrared outputs and things like that. I also want to grab with the Raspberry Pi SRT player. There's a pin on that you can get, so once it receives an SRT stream, to have that actually inputting back into this one. So once you receive an SRT stream, you could either go online automatically, it could power up its RF and everything like that, and start transmitting, or just at least warn you, let you know that there's an SRT stream waiting, or you could use it just to change HDMI inputs. So obviously with some of these serial outputs and stuff like that, you can control a HDMI switch. Definitely lets you do that sort of stuff in the future. Being all software defined controller with lots of I/O, even with these outputs, the voltage 3.3 or 5 volts on the I/O, lets you control a lot of different devices. So anyway, bit of an update. You can see here it's still going away, plotting away, updates. I've got it on, I think, 5 times a second, updating these stats. So yeah, not sure if I'll leave it on that one, but it's coping very, very well on that sort of level, so it's good to see what's going on, particularly if you get a little spike in your power output or something. It means you're monitoring a lot quicker, and yeah, if you get a spike or whatever like that, you can set up an alert, make something go red, shut things down, that sort of stuff. If actually something happens and you overdrive your PA, and it draws too much current, you could just shut everything down. So yeah, it makes a really safe transmitter. Great for remote access into it too if you wanted to do that. Yeah, awesome. Anyway, bit of an update. That's how I'm going.
Switch the microphone on so I can hear myself. That's what some down under are actually up to. So that's why I thought we'd include that in. I think Leon's definitely gone to sleep at this stage. And apologies there. I didn't mean to. I should have let you come in first, I think. But let's pass it on round and see what everybody's left me. Leon to take it. Up to test card, it's all yours from G8KOE.
Okay, just get all the buttons right. G8KOE and the group ZS1MM. Now I'm wide awake, Martin. At least there's some components there and wires and fans and things and so on. And at least I could recognize the little synthesizer module that he's generating the RF with. So okay, a very, very comprehensive switchboard that he's got there. Okay, right, Phil. Yeah, your Pluto thing drifting, but if you drill a few holes on the side of that cover, you know, and have a fan in the top, surely that should have enough flow then. That's basically what I do on my final amplifier that I'm talking to you on now. It's a big box like this with two fans, and on the side it blows directly onto the heatsink, and then on the sides I've got two slits with some mesh to keep the insects and hojas out, and that's very effective. So I'm sure for a Pluto which doesn't generate much heat, but obviously you must just blow on the crystal because it's the crystal that's drifting. Anyway, okay, so I think that's fixable. What happened to Ed? I was wondering, because Phil, there was nothing wrong with your transmission. Somebody was on top of you. I don't know why people aren't watching their spectrum displays. I could immediately see that the thing is abnormally high. Somebody is doubling with you. And I was wondering whether that wasn't Ed perhaps trying to come in to maybe say that he has to go or something. I don't know. But now I see he's removed himself off the list. He's not even on the list anymore, so I don't know. Anyway, okay, Brian, yeah. Rebuilding a plane is quite a job. Fortunately, your wing was okay, because that's a lot of work. Doing the fuselage, yeah, carving it out of a solid block of balsa, that's a lot of work, yes. But if it's built up of stringers or just sheeting, it's not so bad. But yeah, it's never a nice job to rebuild a crashed plane. Anyway, I'm something about an ampere. I wrote down amp. I don't know what that was for. Okay, Benno, very nice, that little thing that you've got there that you use the digital communications with, all on its own. That's my kind of thing. If you can make a contact with 50 milliwatts, that sort of stuff, that's RF, and you're doing it on your own. There's other stuff. Why don't you just use Skype? It does the same. You use the internet and you've got video and you've got audio. So yeah, anyway, I'm not going to pester you about that anymore. And Graham, the organ boards, no. the organ, when I showed the pipes and all that organ is fixed. It only needed 2 boards. But the organ building company who services all these organs in the area, they asked me, they heard that I've replaced 2 of the boards in that organ, and they said, but you don't get those boards anymore, can you make us some? So I said, yeah, well, I can make you some, but how many do you want? So he said he wants 10. And doing it all by hand is quite a job, but yeah, it takes me about an hour and a half to assemble one board. Yeah, hour and a half, hour 45 minutes. So I've done 6 boards so far. I must do another 4. Then I'll let him know. They are completed, and I test them all, and they work. So no, that's not for that particular church where I started off with this business. They only require 2 boards, and I don't know whether I've showed you guys the video that I made of why the boards go. There's bad wiring in the organ, and I fixed the wiring in that particular organ so that the thing doesn't re-trigger the whole time, because there's no heatsink on it. It only needs to operate for 1 second, and then it goes into the idle mode. But if there's a bad earth connection or anything that's a bit jittery, it re-triggers all the time, and then it overheats because it's got no heatsink. It's not supposed to be re-triggered. Anyway, so that must happen on many other organs as well, because they're desperately looking for boards, the organ builders. So okay. Of course, with today's technology, you can make that thing, a little thing like half a matchbox size. If you use FETs in the output and just one little 12F509 or something, a little pick to do all the rest. But I don't want to change it, because the organ builders are not highly electronically technical. They know all about the organ and the pneumatics and stuff, and how to tune it and all that stuff. But if he has to replace that board with a thing half the size of a matchbox, no, I don't think it's going to work. So that's why I copied this board as close as possible with the connecting pins on the same side in the same order and so on. So that it's just a drop-in replacement. And apparently many of the organs in the world, the older organs that are 50 years plus old, use that same board. But they're not available anymore. So I don't know what the guys in the other countries do. They sent one board to the UK and asked them can they do something, and they just never returned the board. So it's obviously a problem. Anyway, okay. I see you've got the same power meter that I've got, Graham. That Marconi one on the left of your picture, right on the left. We're standing there. I have a couple of those, and yeah, nice spectrum display you had there with all the traffic. I don't think we have the 3.5 gig here. For amateur use. Our 2.4, 2.3 to 2.4 is not quite as crowded as at your place, but yes, it is getting crowded, especially for our workplace, because the official telemetry band for missiles and aircraft and satellites is 2.2 to 2.4 gigs. And we're having loads of problems. The authorities have sold that band to the cell phone people. So it's a big fight. We've had many meetings and stuff. They don't understand that if they say they know they'll issue us to 3 or 4 spot frequencies. But it doesn't help if you have a spot frequency, say at 2.2 gigs, and they give another channel at people running high power at 2.25 gigs right next to you, because your front end is not that sharp, so it desensitizes your whole receiving system. I mean, we're looking at very tiny signals. I can track a satellite when it comes over the horizon at 4,000 kilometers from me, and with a 5 watt transmitter on the satellite. So we're looking really low down in the signal levels. So if a guy rocks up here right next to you with 50 watts, it just desensitizes you. But the authorities don't understand that. I've made videos demonstrating it. With the output on a spectrum analyzer, say, okay, there's a signal. Now I'm adding another signal, say 10 or 20 or 100 megs away. Yeah, I think I had it 100 megs away. And you just see this one because you're saturating the LNA. They don't understand that. Anyway, yeah, so it's starting to happen here. Some places are moving up to C-band for telemetry on missiles and spacecraft, but it's not the same. It's not the same. That it's not quite as robust as S-band. To the end. I'm still just worried what happened to Ed. So Phil, over to you. Your picture is amazingly sharp today, Phil. I don't know what you're running, but it's really very sharp, very nice. M0 PIT for the group from ZS1 Mike.
Yeah, I had an oddity on that. Thanks, Leon. Yeah, I'm running nothing special, other than there's quite a bit of light coming through the window. It might be just the light levels. Yeah. Telemetry, yeah. That's a interesting subject. Yeah, I'd like... wouldn't mind spending the day with you, Leon, on the range, and yeah, that would be good. But too far away for that. I probably wouldn't be allowed on site anyhow, but that's another story. I'm keeping an eye on my power levels. Yeah, I don't know what happened previously. Somebody could have gone on top of me. I wasn't monitoring. I should have done. I should have monitored. But anyhow, to give those who didn't receive it, the bottom line is, apart from the Pluto SDR, or Pluto Plus, and Leon, good idea, excellent. Yeah, so I can put some holes in the side here, and then put a small fan on the top. And there's, if I can get a 5 volt. A small 5 volt fan, which I'm sure I can, because there's 5 volts available on the board. So that's a good idea. I would certainly go down that avenue. But SDR console, which is what I was using to control the Pluto Plus, which has been built for Windows, I have big problems with it running out under Windows 10, which is absolutely stupid. And yet it will run perfectly on a Linux box, which is really strange, but that's the case. And what I plan to do maybe next week, if I get the time, is to run SDR television and run it under Linux. And I don't know if it's going to work or not, but it might be just a good exercise for me to actually just to try it. It'll keep me off the streets for probably a day or so, but I'll probably do that. But as I say, with the Pluto Plus, with the lid off, I was quite surprised how stable it actually was. I was very, very good, and I was running it via Ethernet, so I wasn't controlling it by the USB. I was using the Ethernet port on it, and it worked fine, absolutely fine with the lid off. Put the lid on and it drifts. Wow, does it drift. But there you go. So that's that. Right then guys, I'm going to make this my final. I don't know who's left. Let's see what we got. I know Brian's left. Not sure if Graham's still there. Benno, I think Benno's left. Yeah, Benno's left. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Graham, if you're still there. If not, I suppose it will go back to you then, Martin. But let me go and find a nice test guard. I think my transmission was okay this time. I didn't see any dropouts when I was monitoring. I must keep my eye on everything. There's just too much to look at. That's the problem. Right, let's find a test guard. There's the test guard. When she comes up, onward and kill carrier.
Right. It's slow on the get it working. Let's just kill one of these sounds so I haven't got a lot of echo. That's better. Right. Get my picture back if I can. There we are. Right. Okay from everybody. I still don't understand all this television. It's all very complicated. As long as your friend in Australia knows what it's doing, that's the main thing. Yeah, I stick to the heavy RF side, I think, and doing various things on microwaves and whatever. Yeah, I've got two of those meters, as you can see, Leon. One was brand new, actually. It was in its box, and it had something rattling around inside. Had a NATO number on it. And I couldn't believe my luck when I found a brand new one. And all it was a loose screw, but the screw didn't belong to anything inside. It was just rattling around. And I presume somebody had picked it up and said, oh, there's something wrong with this one. Put it aside and somebody will check it over. But that's all it was. It was loose. I took the cover off and it came out. Didn't seem to belong anywhere. And working ever since. 1986 it is, but it was brand new. So perhaps it might not have worked as well being left for that length of time without anything being applied to it. Oh dear. Another drink is in order in a minute, I think. And okay, on the organ boards there, well, now you spread the word around, you'll be getting orders from for a lot of them, I expect. So be prepared. But you could use a CPU fan, I should imagine, on that thing there, Phil. The little teeny ones probably provide enough shoved through that and some holes in the side to serve the purpose. And yeah, bands are very, very crowded now, aren't they? Everywhere. I have a look around various times, and you can see it filling up from one end to the other. And the problems with filters are the things to be making at the moment, I think. The only place it's fairly quiet is up here, if I can press the button. Where are we there? Up here it's quiet. That's just checking something on 240481, which is I think a calling channel on 24 gigahertz. And according to my two bits of equipment I was using, it says it's 24 hertz difference. But anyway, they were both GPS locked, so I thought it is possible. But yeah, I was quite surprised how I used to work, a friend of mine up in Shropshire, and he used to come up exactly on the right frequency, so I switch it off, go back to the shack. There we are. Used to tune in, and there he was, so we were both fairly accurate. I think he only had a 10 meg OCXO on his portable kit, but it was enough to keep it absolutely spot on. So he didn't have to tune at all. The hardest bit is pointing the antennas. I used to work him up in Shropshire. It's quite a fair way from here, from inside the shack through the window. I've never got the transmitter going. I worked him one way, receive only. I still haven't finished the transmitter on there. It's been waiting for 4 years to be finished. So I think that's it from me. Nothing too much to report on. Real shame to see your smash model, but it's great to see you standing by the side of it with it rebuilt. Anyway, he's gone, hasn't he, Brian? So I'll say cheerio as well. 4:33. Yeah, quite a bit of test gear over the other side of the room. I won't go right around, but there's quite a bit over this side, and there's quite a bit more behind me, and a bit more on the left-hand wall. So I've got most things. Counters up to 12 gigs, and receivers up to 24 gigs, and SDRs going up pretty high as well, which is where that picture came from for the 2.4. Very interesting looking around and analysing what's going on where. Right, okay, I'll say cheerio. Sun still hasn't appeared yet. It has odd times, but and the rain hasn't either. But we could certainly do with a bit more rain. So cheers to everybody. I'll just put it back to Martin to tie it up if he's still there. I didn't fall asleep, Martin. It was really too much to see all that stuff in Australia there. A fantastic job though, getting it all going, but I wouldn't have to be able to pay attention long enough to do something like that, I don't think. Although if you're used to doing it, you're doing it all the time, it's probably just as easy as doing anything else. But it's us old ones, you see, or me anyway, that I can handle a certain amount, but beyond that, it gets a bit beyond me. So I'll stick with the RF. Still use computers, use technology, software, and everything else, but not quite to the depths that he's doing there and there. Right. Cheers, everybody, and we'll just test card and then just back if Martin wants to wind it up if he's still there. G3VKV signing out to the net.
Helps if you click on the right button, which finally have done. And and to you there, Leon. Well, you won't use Skype for much longer because it's going, and it'll be gone. I forget what they're replacing it with, but so your Skype will disappear. Oh, it's gone already, I'm told. Well, there you go. Someone should tell Leon that Skype's disappeared. It's probably why no one's calling him anymore. I don't know. I didn't like Skype on the PC. I used to use it in the past because it wanted to take over control of microphones and things, etc. So we've got rid of that. The VK. I can't remember. It's called something. 3 TTF. Ian, I think it was. I just looked at the board and thought, wow, it just there's no way that I'd be able to build something like that, and the programming of it is way beyond me, which is why my logic side of things, it's I need help from technical support. You see, which is why I've got John G7JTT. He points me in the right direction, and Phil also helps me out. I'm just having a clue. So it's just getting others to help and put things together. Anyway, SRT, that's the way to go. I think there's a repeater up near John G7JTT that's got an SRT repeat input going in. It's I don't have to arrange a contact. The repeater just sits there and is monitoring. And if anybody comes in, it'll go to full screen, or up to 4 people can join and talk to one another. Internet allowing it, and with the All-Star, there's also on the internet. Yes, it'd be nice to have RF only, but there's a bit of a difficulty in me making a reliable contact with VK land. There's no satellite yet, but anyway, it's all good fun, isn't it? Whatever you enjoy. But I do think you did well on the boards. You make that look so easy, and they look so neat as well. Even though it's, you could say, old technology, it's still good. Nothing wrong with it. Right, I'll wind the net up It's open for anybody that wants to come back, but thanks for all those that did pop up. I'd appreciate it. I'd have felt lonely otherwise. And see you on another net. I'll put up a test card and drop it from G8KOE.